This is the perfect RIA, in case you didn't know. Bringing you all the strategies to help your business grow. Are you happy? Are you satisfied? Are you hanging on the edge of your seat? Sit back and listen in while you feel the beat, yeah! Another myth bites the dust.
Hello, TPR Nation. This is Amber Kuhn from the Perfect RIA. Thank you for joining me on today's Follow-Up Friday, where I'll be covering the highlights and action items from this week's episodes. Matt and Micah kicked off Monday's episode by talking about creating content. Now, it sounds easy if you haven't done it, but they said the second that you hit record or you try to write something, your mind will just go completely blank. One of the things they talked about that can happen when advisors are working on content, especially in front of a camera, is that they want to answer questions in an entirely different way than they would with a client. A few problems with this are that it can come across very scripted because you haven't practiced it. You can end up rambling, and also it's not the experience that a client is going to have. Matt said that you want to start with what you're actually doing with real clients. You never want to summarize a client's question for your content. You want to do it word for word, and then that becomes the topic of your content. Micah pointed out that some of the pushback he hears is that advisors feel that they don't have enough information. He handles this by filling in the blanks with that missing information. For the purpose of creating content, he'll determine where he thinks the question is going, and he'll put in facts that are missing from the story to make sure that the answer makes sense. Remember, you're taking people on a journey, and they said the better you can tell a story through your content, the more it's going to be enjoyed. So how do you actually get started with creating content and improving? The guy said the best way to get past something is by repetition, right for the garbage can. Also, think about when you're at your highest energy level. For Micah, this is in the morning. So this is when you're in your most creative space. Figure out what that time is and make that appointment with yourself. They also said that you can't wait until inspiration strikes to create content, but you can do things that help foster that creativity. So look for those things that make you creative and then set yourself up for success. They said to make sure that you have a space where you can write your ideas down. Now, one tip, do not put this in your email, because if you do, you're going to get distracted with everything else. So what about determining which channel or medium to use? They said to use the one that is the least painful for you to use and that has the lowest barrier to entry. Consider where your audience is or where they're going. You want to make sure that aligns with what you're doing. Matt and Micah said that scheduling the time to work on content and making sure that you're putting in the number of reps is critical. They said a key to doing this is that you need to have a very specific outcome that you can control, such as recording a certain number of episodes, even if you'll end up getting rid of them. Now, in doing this, they said you definitely have to come out of your comfort zone at some point and hit publish, even if it's not the best it could be. They also said that you need to find someone who can be objective, because you're either going to kid yourself or you're going to think that you're too critical about what you're doing. Let's get into action items. Block the time to work on your content. Also, create a content calendar. And this needs to include when your production is going to air and what it's going to be about. Learn from those who are doing, not those who dream. Find those people who are several levels above you and learn from them, and go to them as a student. On Wednesday, Matt was joined by his brother, Steve and Jarvis from Retirement Tax Services to talk about the importance of being able to take tax knowledge and apply it in your practice. They kicked off the episode by stating that people come to a professional of any kind because they want help with a complex area, and taxes are certainly complex. But Stephen noted that tax professionals struggle to get involved in tax planning because for them, they want clear, perfect answers. And a part of what this means is simplifying things and taking out all the detail to get people to take action. He said actions are the only things that count. So you end up with this uncertainty when trying to explain things to a client. And there's so many different possible scenarios. So you wonder how you can explain it to a client in a way that they're going to feel good about it. They also said that you want to be learning from people who are doing this, who are serving similar clients. And he said we need to take these complex things and make them simpler so the clients feel empowered to take action. Matt will always start as simple as he possibly can. and then he'll add layers of complexity as needed. He said advisors tend to push back on simplifying things because they say that they have an obligation to explain details to a client. But they said that the people who understand that the simpler you make it, the better it is, those are the ones who have all the clients because they can articulate in a way that clients can understand and take action. Matt and Steven talked about how you can decide where you want your practice to go by how much value you're delivering. And this can come from proactively reaching out to clients about upcoming tax changes so that they're aware how it may impact them. Also, looking at where confusion may come in with clients and how you can help explain things to them. Now, they said you don't need to be an expert in everything. So when you're studying taxes, they recommend that you focus on the things that impact your clients. You just need to have a couple of things that you're focusing on so that you're really well versed in order to help. Matt and Steven also talked about the Retirement Tax Services Tax Summit, which is taking place in September in Las Vegas. Steven said part of the reason he's holding this summit is to help advisors get clear on the actions they need to take and also what are the actions that clients need to take. So this conference will address this by including advisors and experts who will break this down in a way that attendees will have a clear action plan that they can then go and implement into their practice. Let's get into action items. Register for the Retirement Tax Summit September 27th through 29th by visiting retirementtaxservices.com. Know the 3 most effective tax strategies for your niche and how to illustrate it on a piece of paper with a crayon. And you have to practice and get those reps in. Lastly, be sure to tune into the Retirement Tax Services podcast each week wherever you enjoy your podcast. On Thursday, Jamie talked about how to avoid filling up space in client meetings with words that don't matter, and also how what you say has weight, so you need to think about what the words are that you're saying. Jamie talked about the effect the words they say have on clients during their surge meetings. She said that in every surge, they're talking about the value add they're delivering, and that people want to know, how does the information you're giving impact them? You want to make sure that you're talking about the topics that the clients are most concerned about as well, and that you take every question as the client has asked it. From there, you need to get to the heart of it and figure out how can you, in as few words as possible, answer their questions. And ultimately, you want to make sure that everyone is on the same page. Jamie said that the biggest questions clients have is around whether they have enough money to retire, that they don't want to outlive their retirement income, and how does any volatility impact them specifically. This all gets tied back to cash flow. She said no one wants to outlive their income. So this is easy for a financial advisor to empathize as well as help clients make educated decisions. So with that main concern, the overall question from a client is, how much money can I take out of my portfolio to fill my gap? Jamie said the retirement income gap is how they help clients identify between their retirement income sources and how much do they actually need in retirement. Now, here's where those words matter. By using the word gap. It's so simple, and people understand that that means there's a space in between. That helps them put in perspective what they need from their portfolio. Jamie talked about how they use the phrase go, go, go to describe the first few years out of retirement. They even refer to the change in how days look, explaining that every day is like a Saturday and Sunday. Even when they go to schedule their client meetings, they state that the advisor wants to get together and visit with them. The client knows it's a meeting, but they want them to understand that it's a conversation. She also shared that you want to talk in a way that isn't talking down to people, but you need to abandon industry jargon that only makes sense to your peers. Instead, use words that make sense to clients. Jamie said that if you're on a mission to affect as many heartbeats as possible, you need to cut through all the noise and get to the heart of the matter. Let's get into action items. Look at what you're doing that's working with your branding and client deliverables, and look at what's not working. Look at how you're answering client questions. She said you can go to the Hemingway writing tool and see what level you're writing at and whether you need to make an adjustment. Highlight all the jargon that you're using and see what can be changed to make more of an impact. And consider what clients are really asking you. Think about what is the heart of their question and how you can answer that. That wraps up this week's recap. Thank you for joining me on today's Follow-Up Friday. Be sure to give us 5 stars wherever you're enjoying this podcast and share this or any of our episodes with another advisor or team member who you think might benefit from listening. And until next time, happy planning.
Hold Before we go, something that you need to know. This isn't tax, legal, or investment advice. That isn't our intent. Information designed to change lives. Financial planning can make you thrive. Start today, don't think twice. Be a better husband, father, mother, and wife.